Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we break down the craziest movies that mess with your head and your timeline. And today we're diving deep into one of the most fun and chaotic releases of 2026, Mike and Nick and Alice. So if you haven't watched it yet, then take my word as spoilers, because this is a full spoiler breakdown. We're covering the entire plot in detail, and then explaining exactly what that wild ending means. So this movie is a wild mix of The Nice Guys, Back to the Future, and Goodfellas. It stars Vince Vaughn playing both Nicks, James Marsden as Mike, and Eiza González as Alice. Actually, the story opens with Alice's quirky inventor friend Simon secretly building a time machine in a warehouse while singing, and using mob money from one of the Nicks, but someone came and killed him. But the main action takes place during one insane night. Like crime boss Sosa is throwing a massive non-stop party to celebrate his adopted son Jimmy Boy finally getting out of prison after 6 years. And there we saw quick draw Mike, a tired hitman who wants out of the criminal life, is secretly in love with Alice, who is married to his best friend and crew partner, Nick. Actually, Mike and Alice have planned to run away together that very night and leave the underworld behind for good. But right as they're about to make their escape, President Nick shows up at Mike's door asking for one last job. He tells Mike to go to his house, knock on the door, and chloroform whoever answers. Well, Mike nervously follows the instructions, but the person who opens the door is Nick himself, and the one ordered this is future Nick, who has traveled back from 6 months in the future using Simon's time machine. Actually, future Nick explains that in the original timeline, Present Nick discovered the affair between Mike and Alice. And in a fit of rage, he framed Mike as the rat who snitched on Jimmy Boy, leading Sosa to send his terrifying cannibal hitman, the Baron, to kill Mike. So in the future, Mike died, and Nick lived with crushing guilt for the rest of his life. But future Nick has come back to prevent that from happening. He knocked out present Nick and stuffed him in the trunk of the car, after some funny fights. And now he recruits present Mike and eventually Alice to fix the timeline. Actually, the time travel rules are strict. It's a stable closed loop. Anything that happens to present Nick also happens to future Nick. And if present Nick dies, future Nick disappears instantly. But from this point, the movie turns into a hilarious, bloody, and chaotic roller coaster as the group of four, Mike, Alice, present Nick, and future Nick work together to keep Mike alive, dodge corrupt cops, handle ridiculous gangsters like Roid Rage Ryan, and stop present Nick from staying angry about the affair. Well, there are wild car chases, warehouse shootouts, awkward conversations in the trunk, and some genuinely funny buddy moments between the two versions of Nick. Meanwhile, Alice serves as the emotional glue of the group, fierce, smart, and completely done with all the macho nonsense. So after they killed the Baron brilliantly and as the night goes on, the four of them slowly start functioning as a real team. They decide the only way to end this nightmare is to take the fight directly to Sosa at his mansion during the final after-party. So in the explosive final act, the crew storms Sosa's mansion, wipe out most of Sosa's men, and Alice herself delivers the killing shot to Sosa in a powerful full-circle moment. So now Mike is finally safe, and it looks like they've won. But in the chaos, Jimmy Boy gets one last desperate shot off and hits present Nick in the neck, and the wound is fatal. But the group rushes present Nick to the hospital, desperately trying to keep him awake by singing. Well, it's both hilarious and heartbreaking as they beg him not to die, knowing what it means for future Nick. But sadly, they don't make it in time, and present Nick dies just as they arrive at the hospital, and future Nick vanishes instantly with no dramatic effect. He's simply gone. And the closed-loop rule holds completely. But as Mike and Alice are devastated, because they've just lost their best friend twice over, Alice reveals the final twist. Like Simon actually built 2 time machines. And there was a secret prototype that even future Nick didn't know about. Then she tracked it down to a storage unit. And the movie ends with Mike standing in front of the prototype machine, where he looks at Alice and says, "Time for round 2, before stepping inside." So what does this ending really mean? It's not just setting up a sequel, though it definitely leaves the door open. Actually, the ending is about guilt, redemption, and how far people will go for the ones they love. Future Nick came back to save Mike because he couldn't live with what he had done in the original timeline. Now Mike is willing to do the exact same thing for Nick. The cycle continues, but this time with a sense of hope instead of regret. The director wanted the audience to imagine what happens next rather than spelling everything out. Like, will Mike succeed and create a better timeline where everyone survives? Or will he simply restart the same chaotic night with more knowledge? Either way, the film closes on a bittersweet note that friendship and love can literally bend time. So what did you think of the ending? Do you believe Mike will create the perfect timeline, or is this the beginning of an infinite loop? Drop your theories in the comments below.